Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Joining me today, you know her, you love her, the queen of basketball feelings. It is Katie Heindl.
What's up? What's
How
up?
are you?
I'm good. I got a haircut today, which you can tell is looking fresh bangs.
Oh, okay.
But
I mean, your bangs always look fresh, so I don't
that's
know.
nice.
Yeah.
They were feeling pretty nasty. My whole situation was feeling like winter gross. You know how it is. Like the air is so dry and your hair
I mean,
is
I've got
thinning.
my hair in the top bun today.
It looks good.
Thank
It
you.
looks good.
I do love a bun on the very top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Then
I've never pulled off bangs. The forehead, it's too small.
You could do it.
No.
I did once grow them out. In the pandemic, I grew them out because I was like, I can't live my whole life with bangs. I need to at some point know what the other side lives like. So I did. And it was okay. But then I got them back and it was kind of like putting on your favorite shirt, you know? You're like, oh yeah.
Maybe that's like me and glasses.
Mm.
Like I could wear contacts, but I love having glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to live a life without glasses.
No. And you don't have to.
See?
Yeah.
There we go. You know, like some people are like, oh, I want like the Google glasses or something like that. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep my glasses classic and normal.
Thank God I haven't seen anyone walking around with those things. And I've seen videos of people with those on and they're like doing things in the air in public. It's like, you've got a lot of trust in the people around you, sir, because it's always a dude to be doing that.
That's true. That's very true.
That would just like, I don't know, rob you.
I know.
Like push you away, like spin you or spin you around like you're at playing like pinata or like pin the tail of the donkey at a kid's party.
Yeah, pin the tail on the donkey. Pinata is a very different game.
It is. It is.
We just start whacking them.
Fun. Oh no, I just meant the spitting, not the stick. Anyway.
I just pictured a bunch of kids whacking this guy.
I mean, I guess too. What I'll cop to is like, I have no idea if when you wear those things you can actually see around you, or if it's like an augmented version of what's around you. I have no idea.
Yeah, I can't answer this
and I don't want to know, and I never will.
There we go.
I'm fine with that.
But your bangs look fresh.
Thanks, girl.
Yeah. Anytime. I got you. All right, let's jump into some basketball talk here. So last week we talked a bit about the Jimmy Butler drama. You know, he got suspended for, what was it, like 7 games? And then he came back. Now he's been suspended for another 2 games for essentially the exact same thing. Used the word insubordinate in the Miami Heat press release. Not a word you see often in an NBA press release. But and also too, like they tried to do the I'm back press release with Jimmy Butler after the suspension, and I was like, that is the lamest callback I have ever seen.
I thought it was funny.
No one missed you that hard. No, I thought it was so dumb. And I mean, okay, if you all thought it was funny, that's cute, but I thought it was dumb. And now he's suspended again for missing a team flight. Similar to the Zion situation. Zion got suspended for missing or was being late, and they were like, you're late too often. And last week I called out Jimmy Butler to say, like, I don't think he's serious about being a championship contender. And Jerome, who was on the show last week, disagreed with me a bit. He was like, you know, Jimmy Butler will kind of jump back into things when he's in the right situation and he's ready. But I remain unconvinced because I'm not about these petty antics. But how do you feel, Katie? What do you make of all of this?
I mean, I'm kind of loving it. But you know, I'm like a Jimmy Butler supporter through and through.
Through and through. Like I love it as a bystander. But I don't love it as like if I were in it.
Yeah, though I will say, like, I've also been enjoying Kevin Love. Kevin Love has been like posting really funny clips
I didn't know that.
Movie clips on his Instagram from like Scarface or like other just like really funny ones. He'll be like, live look at Jimmy after practice tonight, or like, you know, he's basically just trolling Jimmy because they're good friends, and I think like that's funny. So I think sure there's probably a side of it where some of his teammates are frustrated, but I think the others are like they understand how Jimmy Butler is, you know? And
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I don't think it's like bleeding into that, which is that's where my head goes, honestly. Like I like Pat Riley sometimes more of as like a concept than in practice. Mostly like I wrote about this for Basketball Feelings last week, but like he went on the Dan Le Batard show and he was like talking about he's like, you know, in my day when you know your family wouldn't necessarily tell you they loved you, but like you knew you were loved. It was like this is rough. But he was like basically equating that to the modern NBA athlete. Basically, he was like, you know, these kids nowadays kind of like need a lot of assurance. They need XYZ, and it was unfortunately a bad comparison, and it also made me realize Pat Riley probably had a pretty terrible childhood. But
Damn.
yeah, there was kind of like I think he was trying. What I think he was trying to do was acknowledge the gap that he was like, look, like I know I'm like I know my limitations basically. And I think he was trying to say that for some sympathy. And to a degree, I have that for him. But also, I'm like, the way that you run your basketball team is getting a little bit antiquated. And it works for like one specific type of athlete, you know, but it seems like that doesn't really work well for most of your stars. Most everyone has left Miami, right? In
Right.
like not the best case. Like there's usually a couple of years of a buffer, but like Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, you know, like now Jimmy, other people
Well, I
too.
think those situations were very different as well. Like,
True. But yeah, I don't know. I just it's a bummer to me because I thought Jimmy and the Heat like when he went there, I remember thinking what a great
he
match it
finally
was.
found the place
Yes,
where he fits in. Yeah, I think
totally.
we all thought that.
Yeah. And now I don't doubt that he wants to win a championship. I just wonder what team that's like it's a lot trickier now. Just in terms of like the CBA and all the trade machinations, right? Of like how that
Right.
could happen and like where he goes because unfortunately like his class of star is aging.
Mhm.
So I think like big threes, I don't think they're over, but like the big three, contemporary big three as we know them in terms of like people that are Jimmy Butler's age or, you know, in the league as long as he has been, putting together those kinds of stars isn't going to necessarily work to just win you a title automatically anymore, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And
I think he's in a conundrum.
I feel like whenever I watch like a Jimmy Butler clip when like he's like, "Hey, Architectural Digest, here's a tour of my home." If it's actually his home or not is irrelevant. He's very charming. You know what I mean? Like all
Mhm.
of that stuff is like cool. Like I very much like, get the appeal of Jimmy Butler. And I get why people are like, "Oh, I love his antics." But I'm kind of like I'm starting to veer on the other side of it a bit where I'm like I don't know how to take you seriously right now.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you're fun, you're entertaining, you're cool, you've got $20 coffee or whatever, but it's like, how do I take you seriously as someone who wants to win a championship? And I'm not the type of person where it's like you have to be all business, like not like that, but it's just the it's just the petty drama spoiled brat of it all that just doesn't do it for me. And maybe I'm just old now. You know what I mean, Katie? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old now. But I'm just
You
like
sound
this.
like Pat Riley. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be that's the only comparison to me and Pat Riley that has ever happened. And I'm gonna take it as a compliment. But really, like I just feel like he's being a spoiled brat, and it's like all the rumors are leaning towards Phoenix right now. Let's say they get that deal done. And I think they will, actually. I do think this deal will get done. And it's like, is he going to just suddenly be in like beast mode? Maybe.
Mhm.
But it's just like, I don't know. I just find this behavior when it's constant like this to be annoying as a fan.
Mhm.
And I think for me, it's like I want to root for players that give a shit.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I want. Like I want you to have the best life possible. I want you to make your money. I want you to, all of this. But I want you to also care.
Mhm.
Cuz then I care and then I become emotionally invested, and I think that's why we actually love sports. So when you're just like, yeah, whatever, it's like I get put off, right? I mean, James Harden was like this a few years ago. Kyrie Irving had his moment a few years ago. It was the same thing for me. It's like I'm not going to buy your jersey if you don't care. I don't know. Like maybe I'm just, look, everyone, you can tell me I'm old. I understand. Okay. You can feel free to compare me to Pat Riley. If you want high praise,
Yeah.
I don't use as much hair product as he does, but goals. But really, like, I don't know. Am I being too much about this?
No, I think it's like a valid stance. I guess when I think about it, I'm like, well, what would get me more, like, selfishly, what's gonna get Jimmy Butler like playing basketball in the way that I want to watch Jimmy Butler play basketball again faster,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's obviously not gonna happen in Miami. Though he did
Mm-hmm.
say, he was like, if I don't get traded, I'll just be here hooping or whatever. And I kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, I don't actually doubt that, because then he's got like a couple, maybe I don't know if he would crash the proverbial team so that they don't get into the playoffs. I don't know that he has that power. Like, there's still a lot of other great, guys on that team.
They're 9th in
Yeah,
the East as of right now.
I guess they could slip
They're 500,
pretty quick. Okay.
but they could slip quickly. I mean, they won't get to the bottom of the East, but they could. I mean, they're 9th, so yeah, they could easily slip out of the play-in
I
conversation.
will say it's like, it has been weird, definitely last season and this season, to see Jimmy Butler looking a little bit listless on the court,
Yeah.
And I know there's like the trope of like, wait for the playoffs and like he'll be activated. It's like, sure, that's true in a way, but like he also can still be like that in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for whatever reason, you just like haven't seen it yet. So whether that was like the quote, like joy he was talking about or not,
Right.
there is something that has been a bit lackluster. So if he gets that in Phoenix, sure. But then I'm also like, again, I'm not necessarily convinced that like Jimmy, and I want to believe it, but to me, it feels like tricking myself the way people trick themselves into the Paul George to the Sixers trade,
Oh, yes.
where it's like,
I see that comparison for
because
sure.
they'd have to get they'll have to move Beal, right? So it'll be Jimmy, Durant, and
There'll be a
Booker.
third team involved, I think. I don't
Yeah.
think they have enough to trade between the two of them. They'll have to it'll end up being, I think, a 3 to 4 trade team
Okay.
trade, I
Yeah.
think, to pull it off.
But it sounds like they'll have to lose Bradley Beal in the process to like accommodate
Oh,
Jimmy, maybe.
they can't wait to lose Bradley Beal.
I know. I feel bad for Bradley Beal.
Do you? I
Oh,
don't.
no, a little bit, because a little bit I'm like, I don't think you're trying. Maybe I feel about Bradley Beal the way you feel about Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I feel that way also about Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
But I also probably haven't seen enough Suns basketball to truly know. I mean, I know he's had some injury issues as well, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think too, like, I wonder, I don't know if we'll ever find this out, but I wonder if what kind of conversations they had in the summer,
Mhm.
because it seemed pretty clear that Miami didn't want to re-sign him. They didn't want to give him this extension, and that's the whole cutthroat Pat Riley thing.
Mhm.
But it's like, if you know that in July, why not try to get something done before the season starts? Like, why let it get to this point? And like, again, I don't know what, like, if like Jimmy Butler was like somewhat lied to, or like they told him they were going to get a deal done and they just kept stringing him along, or like, I don't really know, but I just feel like it would have made more sense to have gotten something done then, instead of
Mhm.
watching your season crash and burn now.
Mhm.
And then I just don't know where this team goes from here. They're not going to be as competitive with Bradley Beal if that ends up being the trade or whoever. You
Yeah.
still have, a great player in Bam. As Tyler Hero's having a good year, but I don't think he's going to be the next Jimmy Butler.
Mhm.
So I just don't know where this team goes from here.
I don't know either. I think it would set them back, but then also like clinging to Jimmy Butler is also going to set them back if you assume.
Oh yeah,
that.
they should not cling to him. That's why
Yeah.
I'm like, they should have done this in the summer.
Yeah. I don't know. I believe there's probably another layer to it. If Jimmy Butler's saying like, however cryptically, that the truth is going to come out.
Yeah, I think there is too. I think there was a bit of a backstab, some lies.
Yeah.
I was talking about binge watching Survivor before we started recording.
That's where your head is at. No, but like that does happen, right? Like
style conversations with
like
Jimmy. Yeah.
the Raptors have done that too. Like that happens.
Mhm.
You're like, oh yeah, we're not gonna trade you. We're not gonna trade you.
And then
you
you're
traded. Or like we're gonna
then you're
keep
getting
you.
Taco Bell at 3 a.m. and you're crying to Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, dude.
Did he was it Taco Bell?
Was it for DeMar?
I don't know. Some fast food, I recall.
I mean, that's not the worst that you could get. The worst I feel like would be like Burger King, like an old Whopper or something. Like that, there's definitely tiers.
Whopper tears?
No, just like tier level tears, not like crying tears.
I picture tears like
no,
physically crying over a Whopper.
Definitely like level tiers to the depressed food that you're gonna eat when
to the depressed fast food.
Traded.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen there, honestly. You're right. Like it feels like it's inching towards a trade. We'll see.
I want to be wrong. I want Jimmy to come back. I want to see Jimmy the competitor. And you know what too? Like I also love Durant, and I want to see Durant in a competitive situation again. I mean, that would be really
that would be fun
to see Durant like really compete for a championship again. Like I want to see that. So as critical as I am, and I stand by what I've said, I am like rooting for this to be like successful.
If they, because like Nurkic has been pretty terrible for the Suns, so if they can somehow finagle Nurkic into this like four-way trade and get back,
Well, there's rumors. So talk about rumors, and this kind of segues into the Raptors talk a bit. So maybe I might be breaking my rules with the segments here, so I apologize, but. I mean, there's rumors that the Raptors are very much involved in this Jimmy Butler conversation to be the third team that gives them both enough movement to make this happen. And I think a lot, we've talked a lot about Chris Boucher being moved over the last year, I would say, if not more. And we could see that happen. But I think Jakob Poeltl is someone that a lot of other teams are looking at. Now, I'm not suggesting the Raptors want to move Jakob Poeltl, but I'm saying it's hard to find good centers in this league.
It is.
Which is why the Raptors traded that first round pick for him in the first place. And we've gone from a place of many fans not being happy with that trade to, Jakob's become a fan favorite here all over again. Right? Like I've noticed this real shift with him with the fandom, right? Like it was like, oh my God, why did we do that? You can't trade Jakob now, like we've really 180'd on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I want to see Jakob stay because this team was becoming unwatchable without a center like him.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk is also in talks. Chris Boucher's in talks. I think one, if not two of the three of those guys are going to be a part of like a larger deal, unfortunately, which would move Yusuf Nurkic as well
to Toronto. Like that's
not here.
Okay.
Not here, but it would be part of moving him in addition to Bradley Beal. I think our move would be to get picks and stuff like that from the whole.
That's true. I guess they would
exchange.
Still have like a backup center on deck. But
Yeah, but anyway, we'll revisit that. But you mentioned Nurkic, and it made me think like, oh, they'll try and replace him with Pirtle. We'll see if it happens or not. I'm sorry, Raptors fans. I know no one wants to hear that. Okay. In terms of, I want to do some more trade deadline talk with you. Who else do you think, so much Jimmy Butler talk, but is there another team that you think might end up trying to make a big move before the deadline or at the deadline?
I think there are teams that need to make a move. Like I do look at the Warriors stagnation, but that does feel at this point maybe like an off-season overhaul
Right.
move. Because realistically, it's like what could get them to the point where they're playing for the West, to come out of the West? I think they're like a little bit too far gone for that.
They're 11th right now.
Yeah.
They're lower than I even thought they were. They're 11th in the West. They're
And
not
I
even
know, like,
in the play-in.
with Steph and actually Draymond not, doing what if Draymond's like doing what he's supposed to do, then you could see how they could jump out of that quickly. But just the team is just fundamentally not working. The rotations are so long.
There's
It's
only
so
2
disheveled.
games separating 11th to like, I mean, it's so insane how tight it is. Like,
Yeah.
The Warriors are 11th with a record of 21-22, and the Lakers are in 5th with a record of 23-18.
Yeah.
That's 2 more wins and 2 more losses. Like it is really tight. So yes, they could bounce back, but do they even want to bounce back?
I don't think so, because you look at the West and you've got OKC and the Rockets and even the Grizzlies to an extent. Like, I know Jaw's out now, but I can't see them going. Like, you compare them to those teams and they seem almost like haggard, right? Like they really show their age, unfortunately, because those teams are all very young and themselves to be very competent and super competitive. So I think the prospect of that probably makes Steph Curry feel tired, like off the bat,
Oh
So
yeah, that man's shoulders. My God.
yeah, but again, that feels to me more of like an off-season overhaul. The Sixers, I did wonder too, but at this point, I think the season is a write-off for them.
Yeah,
They
I
just
agree.
want to hobble to the summer and see what happens. But no, I think where we would maybe see some movement at this time of year, things are a bit hobbled by the CBA terms, right? So, and the fact that it takes in terms of actually seeing like a big blockbuster trade, I think the only thing would be a Jimmy Butler, Bradley Beal sort of moving around in an axis, because it won't be one for the other. Anyone else is like, I look around at the most competitive teams at the top of each conference and they have themselves figured out. They probably don't want to add something at this point, because you could also disrupt chemistry, right? You've seen that happen. And I think like the teams I mentioned in the West and then in the East, like none of those top contenders are like looking for an edge, like they have it.
Right. I think, I mean, I definitely agree. I was looking at, I think it was a Bleacher Report article. Am I right about that? No, I've read too many articles today. It was a CBS article. And it was talking about how Kyle Kuzma could be a player that's traded at this deadline. And, I was looking at it. The Wizards are dead last in the league. They only have 6 wins this year. Talk about depressing. Anyone that's like, oh, the Raptors are hard to watch. The Raptors have 11 wins.
They're also not hard to, like, when they lose, like they're generally
still fun.
entertaining games. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for a few, but yes, definitely. But they've lost their last 11 in a row. They've only won 6 total. And this team to me is just doing everything they can to catch the Cooper flag, right? Like that's really what it is. And I think and they do need to start over. They need a franchise level player to revive whatever it is that's happening there. right? Like there's no future with Kuzma.
Mhm.
And I know like last year he was utterly ridiculous by saying he doesn't want to get traded to Dallas. He said that he didn't think Dallas was a quote unquote contender. Like, I know what it takes to win a championship, and Dallas doesn't have it. And I think he just wanted to get paid, honestly.
I mean, but do I disagree with him? We have different motives, but like I don't
Right.
disagree with him.
Right. I think he just wanted to get paid, but
Yeah.
now that that's settled, why wouldn't you try to trade Kuzma? And you could get like, he has not had the best season at all, but there are a lot of teams that you could convince could use him, and you could get other picks and blah 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 and some younger players back and really try to start over. Like I feel like I mean the Wizards are one of those franchises where like they haven't known what they're doing for a long time.
Yeah.
But that is like the obvious move.
Yeah. No, that like I like that too, because I do still like Kyle Kuzma. He says like a lot of silly things sometimes on the internet. But I feel like I was really enjoying the way that he was leaning into doing a bunch of little things when he was with the Lakers.
Right.
You know, like he was on that precipice. And I know Lakers fans really hated him, but then I think they missed him because he did a lot of those. Like those are always the guys that the Lakers trade away inevitably, right? The intangibles guys, like he and Caruso, different style of players, but like similar thing. It's like I don't know why the Lakers are like, we don't need those guys. It's like, no, those are the guys that like are the backbone of your team. So you do need them. And Kuzma, I think, was on his way there. He's obviously stagnating. With the Wizards, like him and Poole sometimes are fun to watch, the duo of them. It would be cool to see Kyle Kuzma on I don't want to like even like a middle of the road team.
Yeah, like not even necessarily a contender, just somewhere even in the middle. Yes. Yeah, I agree.
I think it would be fun. He's a fun player and he's like young. He's like not done yet. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys where people are like, you're ready to write him off. It's like, no, he's pretty young still.
Yeah, like he's still in his 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But it's definitely like, if anyone needs a new era, it is the Wizards.
Yeah, I like that. Though the saddest thing about like getting into the flag sweepstakes, which is what I always caution when it comes to the Raptors in this, is like you could be the absolute, like you could be the Wizards. You could literally be the Wizards and the worst team in the league and still like you have a percentage. Yeah, you have a percentage chance. Like imagine how devastating that would be.
And it would be devastating, but it's like they're already on their way.
Yes.
Might as well. Right? Like they're already there.
Right.
You might as well just do everything you can.
Yeah.
Because you're not, I mean, it's January 23rd. You have 6 wins.
No, I think they are doing everything they can, is what I'm saying. I just mean like in spite of that, like if they don't get this guy, it's gonna really suck.
Yeah, it would suck. But then they can just do it again. I guess. No, I don't know. But it would. But I think they need it, and I think they need to will it into existence as much as they can.
Yeah.
So that would be the only other thing I think could happen. That's like a quote unquote big name. Okay. NBA All-Star stuff is coming up. They're announcing the starters tonight on TNT. So this podcast will come out tomorrow. So that'll be after the fact. So we're not going to do too many like prediction things, but this might be the first year we see LeBron not start. Which is kind of wild. And
LaMelo a starter?
He could be.
He's like first in the East, isn't he? It's crazy.
This is when I'm like, you don't even need to tell me I'm old. Like this is when I'm like, I know, because I mean I'm aware of the reality show. I'm aware that his brother has a song. Like I know these things, but I do not care. Like I'm not connected to it on that level. But I mean, he is a good player. Like he's not, you know what I mean? Like he is a very good player, and he's flashy, and I get the appeal, but for him to be number 1 in the East, I actually think that says a lot about the Eastern Conference, to be honest. Like
that all these other guys are forgettable, that like people with Giannis are like, I'm over it.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, if he was in the West, would he be the number one
No.
vote getter? No, of course not. Like,
Mhm.
this is my point. Like, he
Mhm.
just, and this is Eastern Conference stuff, right? Like, I think too, it's like, oh, when you like when somebody makes the All-Star team, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, congratulations. It's like you're an Eastern Conference All-Star. It's not the same thing,
Brutal.
unfortunately. It's true
Oh.
though. Oh, stop. It's true. True. I'm sorry. Nikola Vucevic, All-Star
Is
in the
Vooch in
West.
it? Oh.
He was.
Oh, I thought you meant this year. This is how much I'm like,
No.
it could be anyone in the East.
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go. I mean, I think, I who like the fact that Jason Tatum isn't more popular is
I
kind of
know.
astonishing.
I know.
He's literally the reigning champion. He is one of the best players in the league. He plays for a storied franchise with a lot of fans in a big city.
They're
I
just
mean,
like, we
it's
don't
like
like you that much.
the recipe,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, poor Jason Tatum. He needs to be like, even too, when like all these people have that like stupid like face of the league conversation, and
Yes.
how like, oh, like, we need more American stars, and I'm like, you have Tatum right there. He's right there.
Yes.
I don't know why you're not building him up more. He's right there. I mean, imagine if you're Jason Tatum and they're like, oh, there's too many European superstars.
Yeah,
in
like,
the
why can't we have an all-American star in an all-American or like a very American city who
oh,
just won a title? Wouldn't that be amazing?
like, I'm here.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
true. I didn't think about that from Jason Tatum's perspective.
it's so crazy.
Sucks. Yeah.
It's so crazy.
He's just like, it's okay. I'm good.
I mean, he must be. He comes across like a nice guy,
Mhm.
and he must be, because I can't believe his ego hasn't like exploded yet. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, the fact that his ego hasn't absolutely exploded is just wild to me.
It's why
I
it always
don't think I'm a better person. Like, I think if I were him, my ego would be a mess. It would be a mess.
what
It'd
I
be
was gonna say
everywhere.
is like the joke that's always being made about him, right? And like the Kobe texts and
Oh yeah.
like that to me though generally felt kind of like, and again, I don't know him and I don't want to like you do what you want, Jason Tatum. But it always felt a bit like put upon in the sense of like that doesn't seem like it's his personality, you know?
He does not have Kobe's personality, no.
Which like isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No,
Yeah,
it isn't a bad thing at
it's like it's
all.
probably better for you in the long run, you
Yeah.
know? You'll be definitely more like you'll be well liked. But like, yeah, it's just like this whole thing about what we're talking about specifically of just this like quiet presence, right?
Mhm.
And then unfortunately getting kind of looked over for those things. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't understand why he's not, especially this year, like in your title defense season, you're not number
Yeah.
one.
It's like, this guy doesn't get minutes on the Olympic team. He's not the number one vote getter. Everyone's like, where are all the American stars? And he's like, I just
They're
won.
like, yeah, he's like standing right in front of them. They're like, oh, if only
Yeah, like
I
he's
could
5
find them.
feet tall and they're all just like looking above
Yeah.
him. Yeah, I mean, just unreal. But anyway, yeah, being an Eastern Conference All-Star is different. I haven't had this conversation with you, Katie, about the rules.
Okay.
Like, how do you feel about the new rules, or just the NBA switching up the rules all the time in the first place? Like, do you think like this is gonna work? Do you think that the NBA needs to keep like quote unquote fixing All-Star? Like, where are you at with this?
I'm glad that they went back to East versus West format because like it was torturous to me watching them pick each other and like being in those arenas when they're picking each other. I was like having a quiet like meltdown every time. But people really liked it, but I was like, this is hell for me, you know, like this is so sad.
Like watching them pick teams in the arena.
Yeah. Not just because it's like, one, it's boring. It takes a really long time. But two, also just like
And Rudy
when, like-
Gobert's like, do I have to be last in front of millions?
Yeah, when Nikola Jokic was going to be last, and then he jumped up to make sure he wasn't, and Lauri Markkanen was instead. Which I kind of respect. You just take the matters into your own hands. I actually don't. What I don't mind about the format this year is the fact that there will be someone like a second. I don't know. I guess it could be a rookie, but like a first year or second year player that ends up playing in the final round or whatever, right? Because they take the best, from the world team, and then the Rising Star, or is it just from the Rising Stars team?
Oh,
because there's 4 teams. Really,
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I think it's just the best player, or like whoever wins like the MVP of that
the
game.
night before, right? Yeah, so
that's what I thought, but I could be wrong about that.
Whoever it is, however it comes to pass, that is like the thing that I've kind of latched onto since they, released the new format. Because I'm like, you know what? Actually, that person's going to play really hard.
Right.
And it's going to be one of those things where like they're going to play so hard that they may embarrass the other, veterans on this team who've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
It also may backfire and they might just be like, relax, dude. But I think they'll play really hard, and I think it will force them into some kind of different, at least like to adapt to a different style of competition. I always use this example, but it was so like it kind of encapsulates this perfectly. But when Kyle Lowry was in the All-Star game and he like really pissed off James Harden and LeBron James when he
when he drew that charge.
Yeah, when he's like drawing charges.
But that's okay. This, like, I love that you brought this up, because this goes back to what I was saying earlier. We love Kyle because he cares.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what we want to see.
Yeah.
And all these guys don't care, and it's like, well, why am I supposed to?
And that's also like, to a degree, I really respect him for doing that, because he's like, well, this is how I play basketball. Like, this is what I'm known for. It's also like why some people really hate him, and fans and players hate playing against him. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, what do you want me to do? Like, this is like if you ask.
Let you blow by me, like
you asked Steph Curry not to shoot threes. Like, unfortunately, that is Kyle Lowry's like strong suit, right? It's taking charges, and selling them. And the fact that he did them and it made them so angry, like visibly angry, but it also it put some like spice into that game, right? Like, it made it competitive. So I do wonder and hope that that's what having some younger players in the All-Star game will do. But no, I don't think
it just made me realize like the best / absolutely worst game ever would be if they did like an offensive players versus defensive players team.
So they
took all the best defensive players and put them on one team.
Yeah,
versus all the best offensive players.
Adam Silver. Here's your fix.
As an NBA nerd, it would be so fun, but I absolutely think it would be it would eventually be a blowout with a really low score, and it would be like, I don't know, it would be hard to watch at times, but funny.
It would be for me. I mean, if it was shorter, if they're just playing to a certain, like,
especially too if it were like half court, maybe.
Yes.
No, or not half.
Not half court. No, because you need like
I take
TJ
back
McConnell to pick someone up full court. Like,
I take it back immediately.
Yeah, like you need. Like, that is a defensive strategy, right? Pick someone up full court and just like guard the shit out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we could see Draymond on Steph. That'd be cool. We've never seen it.
I actually don't think that is a bad idea. You're right. It might be nerd stuff, but
Adam Silver, I'm here.
Get at us, Adam Silver.
Maybe if you're gonna break up the game into 4 parts anyway.
Yeah, that could be one of the themes. Be
one of the parts.
Yeah.
And then we can celebrate defense and all these, old school guys that are like, we need more violence.
Yeah, who are like, where's the game I love? Where's the physicality in the game I love? Yeah. And
then Wemby will just like casually swat a ball away.
Exactly.
They'll be so mad about it. I don't know if I have too many other all-star thoughts. I think I'll have to react to see who makes the game to see if I agree or disagree or feel like somebody else is, missed or being slighted in some way. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll get a Raptor on there or not. Like maybe I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
Scotty was there last year, but we had a better record last year. And yeah.
He was an
And also,
injury replacement. Yeah.
that's right. And you know what? This year we might even see a Detroit Piston on the team.
I would love to see Cade.
Right? Yeah, that's
Like,
what I'm saying.
You're talking about, like, you said no, you're talking about East teams that don't deserve it, but like the Pistons really deserve that, and so does Cade.
Cunningham is an Eastern Conference all-star. But I would be very happy for him and for the city of Detroit if that happens. So hopefully it does. Okay, Katie.
Yes.
Raptors homer moment. Is it time?
Yes.
Okay, it's time. So we talked a little bit about the Raptors being a team that could swing a larger trade. Okay, I have two questions for you. One is, do you think these rumors are true? Do you think the Raptors are involved in these, Jimmy Butler sort of like third team trade talks? And then the other thing is, do you want to see the Raptors acquire like young talent? Do you want to see the Raptors acquire picks? Like what are you hoping to gain out of this, if anything at all?
I'm more skeptical of picks over people, like fully realized people at this point.
Right.
Especially with where the Raptors are in their development. Like, yes, we know, and it's been said that it is a rebuilding year, but I think what people tend to forget with draft picks is that those players, like, look, Grady's a great example. You know what I mean? Like, you're still looking at 2 seasons, maybe 3 to 4 seasons, at minimum, right? Like, of that range before you have someone who is, acclimatized to your system, is like physically developed enough, has also developed their game enough, has developed their like mental stamina, their physical stamina, like all the stuff that goes into what it takes to just be a full-time NBA player, right? And then to have like a competitive edge, to figure out what that is for yourself. Like, this takes a really long time for picks. Even like, honestly, even someone like Cooper Flagg, who is going to be super impactful to whatever team, especially because he will land up on a crummy team, by virtue of the draft system. But like, it's still going to take time. So I think it makes sense for the Raptors to be involved. Obviously, they do have a lot of space to be the kind of facilitator. But I don't think they'll take it. They're not just going to even being the facilitator, they're not just going to accept anything. And I think that sort of pickiness or savviness, wherever you land on it with Masai Ujiri, I think is pretty useful in a situation like this, because to be fair, like, even with a rebuilding team, you still have a picture of what you want that team to look like. And I think when they've played well this season, we know what that team is. You know what I mean? And like, we know what the core is. It doesn't mean you can't quote upgrade and add people here and there. That is something the team tends to prefer to do in the summers. So I could see picks being valuable for a summer trade. Do you know what I mean? So they could like shift those later to get someone in the summer when we see what happens in the rest of the season. When I look around the league and think of, like, I guess when I look at the Suns specifically, and I wonder if anyone from that team would actually land on the Raptors, or if they would just be like a money and pick facilitator.
Right.
I don't know. I suppose there's like really no harm in that then, because you're not disrupting your roster. You are not, like, bringing someone in who may just be walking away in the summer, right?
Yeah.
To facilitate another team's big trade. Pretty much, like, it doesn't seem like there would be a downside, right? But I would take picks to barter those picks rather than picks to hang on to them for draft years to come.
Right. I mean, I think, yeah, I do agree that you want to see who you have as opposed to just picks, because, we've seen draft picks do really well, but we've also seen people not do so well, and then they're not in the league like 4 or 5 years later. So it is a huge gamble to just go after picks. But I also feel like because we're not in this like super competitive situation right now, picks aren't necessarily bad. Like if you can get somebody like, like last year with OG and Anunoby, like somebody like Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, and you're like, okay, this is young, really good talent. Let's see what we have. Like to me, like that's a good trade. Like that was, but if it's like, well, they're only giving up older players or players that have definitely like hit their potential, like a Yusuf Nurkic, that doesn't do anything for us. Like in a situation like that, it's like I'd rather have the picks.
Yeah.
Right. And I do think too, the Raptors are probably in this scenario more of in a financial, like moving money, moving picks situation than they would be acquiring players. But with that being said, if we got like, let's say, for example, and I apologize, I didn't look up to see if it's even available. This year's Miami Heat first round draft pick could end up being a pretty nice pick. Right? And what you at least already know to be a talented draft. You might not end up with the right person in that draft, but I'm like, ooh, like the Miami first round pick could end up being a top 10 pick. I don't know. It's like, it's weird where it's like, there's this balance between like, yes, I want to see who I have, but also it's like, the potential waiting for you. It could be good. It could be good.
It could be good. I don't know, man. Like something about it is such, because I know like we talked about earlier and I've heard it, for I think like at least a month now, but like Chris Boucher's name, and because also like he's been having himself some phenomenal games. Like it's such a bummer to me that now everyone's like, so we must trade him.
Yeah. Yep.
However,
I'll miss Boucher, but I also want to see him in a winning situation.
That's actually what I was just gonna say. Yeah, because like that's actually how I not convinced myself of it, but I thought of Pascal and OG, and Fred and the guys that he basically came up with, right? And has played alongside and is now the last sort of person of that entire group. They all got to go somewhere else and like compete to different degrees of, all those teams are pretty good, right? We're talking about the Knicks. Well, the Knicks, the Rockets, yes. Pacers are struggling a little bit, but like they get to play a different style of basketball. They get to be in the spotlight more. Like there's a lot to a trade like that would help develop someone's game. And I think Chris Boucher unfortunately gets talked about a lot. Like there's nothing left for him to develop. Like there's nothing left to his game, where I don't think that's the case. So it would be cool for that to see him go somewhere else. It's just, and then I have to like catch myself because it's like, why do we talk like this about the Raptors? Where it's like, you go, I'm happy for you to go somewhere else and be successful. It's like a very
Toronto thing ever. Yeah.
It's a very Toronto
Can't wait for you to make it in LA, fellow actor, or literally anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, but it's true that look, like Chris Boucher is the last player on this team from the championship roster, which feels like a long time ago now. I'm sorry to say. And all those guys from that championship team, I feel like I want to see them do well, right? Like I'm so happy for Norm right now and like what he's been able to do with the Clippers and how he's become in all-star conversations. Like if Norm Powell became an all-star, that'd be incredible, wouldn't it?
It would
like
roll.
Yeah, like it's things like that. So that's like the kind of like hope that I have for Boucher. Not to say like I hope for him to become an all-star, but just to have like
to have growth,
to have growth and to have like a real role. Like I feel like I'm not trying to criticize Darko, but he, Chris Boucher has been very in and out of his lineup, and I'm not sure why he hasn't had a permanent place in Darko's lineup, but I want him to at least have like a real role on a team.
No, I'm with you. I think there's like a lot of reasons why, of course, it would be good for Chris Boucher, and I think the Raptors are in a position now where like it wouldn't be the end of the world, right, for them either.
Yeah, I agree. And then I feel like, it just fully caps off everything. It just feels, I don't know, cleaner to me, if that makes sense, like a cleaner break, but whatever. I mean, we've already been in a different era for a while now. Okay, Hottie Highlight time.
Yeah.
Let's Do
It's a good
it.
one.
Hottie Highlight of the week.
It's a very good one.
It's very charitable this week. Okay. We've got two very interesting, very different, nice gestury scenarios here. So the first one is we've got a woman named Grandma Kitty, which frankly I see myself in at some point. And she's a huge Warriors fan, huge Steph Curry fan, and she has been logging on paper. Love that she doesn't realize she can't just print this out online. But
No.
she's been logging on paper like the team stats, their wins, their losses, all this stuff. She's been keeping data analog style on the team. That's how big of a fan she is. And Steph found out about Grandma Kitty and sent her a video thanking her for being such a big fan, but then also invited her to the game that they have in Brooklyn. I assume she's based in Brooklyn.
I think so.
Yeah, that's why. So she's going to the Brooklyn Nets game to see Steph, and I assume we'll meet Steph.
For sure.
So that's like really exciting and really cute, and like the two videos of like that, and then the response were really awesome. And then the other one is our Toronto Raptors team going to Sick Kids Hospital and seeing the kids and entertaining the kids there, along with Open Gym.
And Darko's donation, right? Like he and his wife
and Darko's donation.
Their second year of that. Yeah.
His wife Gaga are very involved at Sick Kids Hospital as well. But I think like Darko and his wife doing stuff for sick kids is sort of outside of like the whole team. Like they're kind of they made a large donation on their own, and then there's like the team visit.
How much is it per assist?
I kind of want to separate Darko a little bit because it's like his own, him and his wife, like that's their own individual.
It is their own money, their own philanthropy. Like, it's a very sizable amount per assist for this whole season that they donate.
Yes, that's right. That's what they're donating.
Yeah.
I think it's like $30 or something. It's like a decent amount of money.
No, it's like $2,000
per assist.
I think so. It's not $30.
I thought $30 per assist was a lot for like.
I think it's
assists
hundreds or something. Like it's up. It's not.
Now we gotta look this up.
Yeah, we do.
This is gonna bug me.
I had the press release, and now I have.
Wow, you even have the press release, Katie.
I had it.
Just kidding.
I had it. I don't know where it is. Dark.
All right. Well, let's see who gets to it first. It's $30 for every assist the Raptors record. Wow.
$30 American dollars. Last season they donated like $20. Last season they donated $20 USD per assist.
Well, that was his first year.
Led to a contribution of $46,700 US American dollars, which, let's see, in Canadian. I'm doing the conversion right now.
Wow.
$67,170.
God, the Canadian dollar really needs to step up. But
anyway, sorry, I was like, I want to $1,000 per assist, but it's still like it mets out to a big amount.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, $30 per assist for the whole team is a lot of money, Katie. Anyway, Darko and Gaga's philanthropy aside, I think, because you can't possibly compare those things. That's like absolutely amazing. But to me, it's like, is it this much attention given to one person, or is it the team giving attention to a bunch of people?
I can't believe you're making me pick between Sick Kids Hospital and like a beautiful grandmother.
Listen, if someone else wanted to be hot this week, they could have done it, but they did it, and that's why we're here.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I can rationalize this because Grandma Kitty is getting her reward.
Yeah.
She doesn't need more praise from me. She's going to meet Steph. That video of her getting the video and watching it of Steph is really cute because I think she thinks it's a Zoom. At the end, she's like, Steph Curry.
Yeah, she's trying to talk to him.
They're like, it's pre-recorded. Bless her. She's gonna have a ball, a great time. So I'll go and I'll be a homer about this too. So I'll pick the Raptors. It's very I don't know. I always think about like like a lot of athletes have philanthropic ventures. A lot of them don't get started until they're out of their rookie contracts, just for money, financial security reasons. But to go into spaces like a hospital, they do a lot of work in the community. Like that isn't necessarily something you have to think about how young they are, right? Like that isn't necessarily something they're going to be really comfortable with, but they do it like they do it every year. That is something that the team has done.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I even thought this could be a comparable. Okay,
Yeah.
for people, for people listening, because you're like, how could you compare Sick Kids Hospital to like one woman? The thing is that the Raptors organize this,
Yeah.
and they go every year, so it's not necessarily like their personal initiative to go.
Yeah. Oh, the players.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think
it's the team's initiative that the players go.
It is a team's initiative, but I think I don't know that every player goes. So I think there's still some level.
Oh, okay. So it's still a choice on their part.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is just like I just think it's cool to the fact that like these are athletes who are often like this kind of thing is not asked of them, right? Like it is a big ask, and like that's
I was treating it more like it was asked of them, but if it isn't, then I do take it back.
I mean, it's not asked of them in like a league. Like not a lot of other teams do this, right? A lot of other teams will like donate money.
I kind of assumed every team would do this.
I don't know. I mean, there's
but maybe
like definitely...
I need to stop thinking so highly of like the world. If anything,
there's definitely like visits. There's like community. I think every team, and like through NBA Cares, which is like a great, which is a great like organization that the league has, and the NBPA does a ton of this stuff. There is always outreach. There's always community outreach. But I just mean, like, I always think about like being in a position like that. These guys are in their early 20s for the most part. To like go and hang out and just be like normal and normalize a day like that for a kid who's in Sick Kids, it's so meaningful. And I just think it's a very cool thing to do.
I completely agree. It is very meaningful. They obviously do great work at Sick Kids Hospital. I don't know why I assume everyone does this, because they should. It's like crazy to me. But I remember like even like, I mean, obviously, thank God I wasn't a sick kid, but seeing an athlete at a young age is such a big deal. Like you do feel so special. And like I remember like seeing like the Toronto Argos when I was a kid, and they like were practicing like just outside like my school or something. They're like the school did something with them. I didn't watch football, but I was like, this is huge. You know what I mean? Like I was like, this is the biggest deal ever.
Yeah.
I get to brag about this and blah, 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 and so like it is really special. And I do think like a lot of that community outreach is really important. So I'm happy the Raptors institutionalize it. It speaks volumes to them as an organization, I will say. Especially if not every team does it like I thought they did. That's why I thought this was a worthy...
Every team does
That's
something,
actually why I thought this was a legit comparison. I did not think they were just there on their own. But if they are, then I take it all back. Like that's awesome. And I hope they continue to do stuff and blah, blah, blah.
I think they will. I'm not trying to start like a...
No, listen, I can get lit up. It's fine. It's fine. I can get lit up. It's every team. But the Grandma Kitty thing was really adorable.
The Grandma, you should, anyone listening, you should go watch it. It's on the Warriors, on the Warriors social.
And I can't wait to see her at the Nets game. The thing is that I do know, God willing, I get to be an old woman in this world. I'm gonna be at games, and I'm gonna be insane, and I'm gonna be like a very quirky. I mean, I already am. Like, I'm gonna be like a weirdo old lady. I'm gonna try and like bring my dog to the game. Like, I'm just gonna be insane, and maybe then finally I'll meet an NBA player, because by then I'll finally be like adorable. You know what I mean?
You're gonna meet one before then, Cathryn. It's just
it'll be like happen. In a different setting. Like it won't be the same, but it won't be the same.
You'll be the one trying to talk to someone on a one-way recording. Yeah. You'll be that.
Yeah. It won't be like,
hi, Wemby. No, it won't be Wemby.
It won't be like, you're so adorable, let's get a photo with you.
Yeah.
Like, that won't be the vibe.
Mhm.
But anyway, I'm a ridiculous human being, if you didn't already know. But we'll wrap it up there. Shout out to the Raptors, shout out to Sick Kids Hospital, and glad you all went and saw the kids. And you know, do it more often. Why not? Let's get do all the teams do it? Like, do the Jays go and stuff?
I don't know.
They got to. The Tempo will go. The Tempo, I feel like they'll go.
I think they'll go.
Yeah. Do the Scepters go?
Oh, I don't know.
Do they even want? They're like,
see, this is the thing. I don't know the other teams going. I don't know. I don't know
they
who's
got
going.
to. They got to. It's crazy not to.
Like, I don't know if it's an MLS
excited either way. It's like, whoa,
like, is Toronto FC going? Yeah, like, I don't know.
They got to. Unbelievable.
I gotta say, if the hockey players,
I thought this was standard stuff.
A drag. Those guys seem like they'd just be duds in there. But what do I know?
Oh man. I want more for the world than what we have.
I know.
Thank you everyone for listening and tuning in.
Great.
I appreciate it so much. Feel free to leave a positive review, a like, and all that good stuff. Thank you, Katie, so much for joining me this week. Let us know what you're up to and where we can find you on the internet.
Yeah, you can find me at Blue Sky. I'm hardly on Twitter these days, and I probably won't be for long.
Yeah.
So I'm whatevs over there, WTEVS, same as I was on Twitter. You can subscribe to Basketball Feelings at Substack. I'm also the national NBA editor for the Locked On newsletter. We have just passed 30,000 subscribers.
Congrats.
So that's a 5 days a week newsletter. I write the national story for it. But Sean Woodley, our friend, is writing about the Raptors. He's blogging about them every day, 5 days a week. So you get, if you subscribe to the Raptors version, you get Sean, you get a national story from me, you get some if you're into fantasy basketball, you get a fantasy story and some tips. I don't know, some advice, some fantasy advice, but you got it all. I'm like, what is the subscription? I'm trying to give people the
why are you falling apart?
I don't know. I'm looking at the URL. Newsletters.lockedonpodcasts.com.
There we go. There we go. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.